All right. Welcome back to the Forest Brothers podcast. Joined again by your boy Mutsa Chris Down. You know what it is. Joined again by my two brothers Ngome Zulu and Samson Penguini, the chemist. Wagwan boys, wagwan. Say hello to the beautiful people out there and say what's goody. How's about say what you Mangoro and then Gobs that all sangy. So say hello there, Mangoro.
Thank you for the platform, Mr. Mwari there. I'd like to say hello to you, and hello to you, Mr. Masanga, and hello to all our listeners out there. The Forest Brothers podcast is back. It's a new week, new possibilities, interesting topics for the day, so it's going to be nice. Mr. Masanga.
Hello, dear listener. Welcome once again to the Forest Brothers podcast. I am here with Mwari. I am here with Mangoro. And once again, great to be here with you, brothers. Great to be here with you, listener. And another day, another pod. Let's get into it, boys.
Yeah, for real. Let's get it starting. You know what? First, let's start with Mangoro today. Mangoro, I know that you'd given Potter a couple more weeks to survive. You know, I know you were grading the man. Like, yo, if he loses against Dortmund in that second leg, he's out cold. Like, he's probably gonna get fired. But it seems that the man is on a new bounce lately. You know, he's won 3 games in the last 3-ish weeks. You know, this past weekend they beat Leicester 3-1. So a good result for the Chelsea boys. You know, you're no longer languishing in the mid-table like Liverpool. You're actually getting up there now. You know, you might actually compete for Europe. Probably not, but you might. You know, we'll have to see how the next couple of games go. But I just want to hear your opinion on the trajectory of Chelsea right now. Are you feeling good? Do you think Potter has figured out the source? Or do you think, like, there's still some major kinks that need to be worked out? Because as I was watching the game, actually, against Leicester, I was very surprised that he chose to play Kukurea ahead of Badiashile. I thought Badiashile would be nailed on since Thiago Silva was injured. But I was wrong. And I thought that, you know, Cucurella had fallen out with the manager. We're never going to see him on our pitch again. But there he was doing his things. So, I don't know. I kind of want to hear your opinion, Mangoro, in terms of where Chelsea is headed and what you think is going on, what you think is going right so far, and the overall trajectory moving forward with your boys. Do you have faith in your boy Potter now? Anyway, Mangoro, tell us.
I'll say this to the listener. I think the name Badiashile from Mutsa is actually quite prevalent right now because it's all from his own personal opinion. It's all about his FPL team. It has nothing to do with Chelsea, the team. So I'd say right now, what has happened in the last couple of weeks that now Graham Potter has actually turned the corner. I think he should be in a crisis meeting every game he goes to play, honestly, because when there's a crisis meeting that week or whenever it happens, he seems to perform. So I think we need to keep him under that pressure. Personally, we won 3 games. We've been here before. I'm still not convinced. The jury's still, in my opinion. But what I would commend Graham Potter for the last couple of games that he's done is that he stopped this nonsense of trying to coach players mid-season. So when he was playing that 4-2-3-1 or that very confused formation, he was trying to coach his philosophy. There's no time for that. You saw the results when he was coaching. So that should tell you something. So what he's done now is actually gone back to the tried and tested back 3 or back 5, as you like to call it, with Reece James and Ben Chilwell. You see what happens when they're available, both of them. You see what happens. I've been telling people for 2 years now. Now you see it. So what he's done is that he's actually gone back to what the players know, and he hasn't tried to overcoach them. At this point in time at Chelsea for the rest of the season, it's not about trying to get the philosophy in and just get stuff out there. The media is going to be on him. Todd Bowley will be on him. Vivel will be on him. Paul Stanley and the likes. So right now, and I do want to commend him for the last 3 games, is that he's not overcoaching the players. He has now become the coordinator. He's just coordinating, making sure that players are there in the positions and not trying to coach. Because right now, it's not the time for coaching. We saw what he was doing when he was coaching. We were losing. We won 2-15 or 2-14. So I think for the rest of the season, it's still out there. It depends on what team Chelsea gets in the Champions League draw. And maybe if they get a favorable draw, they could find themselves in a semi final. Who knows? There are some good looking teams out there that they would fancy themselves against. But when we look at the rest of the season in terms of Premier League, you mentioned Europe. I think I was listening to Rory Jennings say that Chelsea could potentially go into the top four. Absolutely ludicrous statement, that one. I think we're too far. Like there are far too many teams above us in 10th place. With even if there's still quite a number of games to go, I think we're kind of far from that. I think, like my personal opinion is to finish eighth or 10th, be eighth, ninth, or 10th, so that we don't have to be playing Europa League or these Conference League nonsenses. Like we just focus next season on like just challenging in the Premier League, like Antonio Conte did back in 2016. Or actually not 2015 or whatever year it was. 20. Let me get my day right. Probably 29. Yeah, let me just say when Conte won the league. I just say when Conte won the league.
I was going to say, point of correction, let me correct myself. Chelsea are currently 10th, and Liverpool are currently 6th. And Chelsea is 11 points behind Tottenham for top 4. So, yeah, let me not make it sound like Chelsea actually was doing better than Liverpool. So, Liverpool fans, I apologize. I thought that you were like number 15 or something. But currently, for some odd reason, you're number 6. So, congrats to you guys. But we're getting to you. We're getting to you. You're not off the hook. You know what? You know what you did this past weekend. But
You know what you did today?
Oh, and today. And today they played Champions League for those not against Real Madrid, and they did some funny things. But yeah. So I was just going to ask you as well, Nkosi, the players right now at Chelsea. Who do you think has picked up their work, picked up the slack? Is it Sterling? Is it Kai Havertz? Is it I don't know who's in the midfield right now. Mount is not playing anymore much these days, right? Because I think Mount has fallen off the face of the earth. I think he's fallen out of grace. So who's picked up the slack for you there, Chelsea?
There's a couple of players that have impressed me. Kepa, I gave it to him. Reece James and Ben Chilwell, I've been telling people those are superstars. Kova, Enzo's making 120 mil look like a bargain. Like some of the plays, what a player. What a player this guy Enzo is. Like, now I understand why Todd wasn't sleeping trying to get this guy. This guy is epic. Kukurea, sometimes we've criticized him. And I think it's only fair as supporters that we criticize, but also when we praise. So now he's been doing the correct things when they've put him in those positions. So we need to give him the praise. And I think he's done well the last couple of games. And we certainly hope that it continues. I think that's why you mentioned Badiashile. I thought Badiashile is outside, another superstar in the making. Wesley he's a Rolls Royce. Like Wesley, Koulibaly, funny enough, has actually performed well. Like I thought he was going to be shaky a bit, but he's performed well. Kai Havertz, still not convincing, still out there. Joao Felix, a bit out there. But those are the ones I'd say for me have convinced me. Like we shouldn't be introducing the likes of Ziyech and the likes anymore. I think that's enough. Sterling, Mr. Offside FC, I'm tired of that.
And then final thing on this, 006, Mr. Mudryk. He was almost 007, but he got that funny assist there at the end. And we're waiting for him. So, yeah, right now the only 007 is the boy Sancho at Man United. He holds on to his title there. So, in case you don't know what 007 means, it means 0 assists, 0 goals in 7 games. Mudryk was almost there. It was fun with the next Bond man. He was almost the next Bond villain at 007, but he's 006. What about the boy, man? Like, why is he not catching as much game time as initial? Because they also spend a bag on the boy Mudryk, right? And, you know, they're only throwing him on right now as that little shiny piece at the end. Like, hey, man, try go do something, please. Like, I don't know what that's about. But what are your thoughts on Mudryk's situation right now?
So Mudryk's situation is a very interesting one for the people that are on the outside, like the people that don't know the internals. Because keep in mind, Mudryk, when he joined Chelsea, he was straight out of preseason. They haven't played soccer in Ukraine for the longest time. So he'd been playing Champions League. I don't even know if the league was up. So that's why they were trying to nurse him into the team. And his form just wasn't there. Like, because you're joining a league where people have been playing for months on end. They've also, some of them even been at the World Cup. So that's been affecting him. And that's the one critic, the one bad thing I'd say about Potter right currently in this phase. Funny enough, there's not many negative things I'd say. The one thing I'd say is stop playing him. Why are you playing him center forward? He's not a center forward. Like against Leicester, I was very confused. That's why he's going to turn into this 007. He's a predominantly like a left winger. Play him on the left. Stop trying to accommodate Joao. The other thing that I think we also need to take a look at is that Joao is actually quite a wasteful player. And I think Potter, if he wants to survive the season and the future, he needs to take a close look at Joao. Maybe we're starting to see why Simeone actually let him go. Because when he gets the ball by the Chelsea box, right around the Chelsea box, he loses it. The other day he lost it against Leeds. Not Leeds, Leicester. They almost scored. He lost it against Spurs. They scored. So he probably thinks this is the La Liga, but it's not the case. So that's the boy he needs to watch out. Because also the other thing is that he's not our player. He's on loan. Like I would love him on like a permanent basis, but currently he's on loan. Mudryk is a player we've invested in a 10-year contract. So it goes to show that something just needs to be done. Play him in his right position. Play Joao on the right, or play Joao through the middle as a false nine. Because Havertz, funny enough, actually on the right is performing much better rather when he's coming in from deep rather than playing as the lone striker because he looks like a young centre back there as a centre forward.
Yeah, interesting thing about Havertz, since you brought up him on the right, when he was playing at Leverkusen, he had this free role in the center right behind the striker. He would often drift to the right-hand side and create a lot of opportunities from there. So that could be the way forward, probably. But yeah, go ahead, Maury. Not to cut you off there, but
No, you're good. Yeah, I was actually thinking about like players that are on loan. Apparently, Daro Lukaku is not even in Potter's plans. So I just want to remind people that Lukaku still can return back to Chelsea, and I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think anyone is looking for Lukaku. I don't think anyone is checking for him. I'd even forgotten he existed until someone was like, "Oh yeah, Lukaku's on loan," and I was like, "Oh." And apparently, my guy, if Potter does not want you, like, I'd actually feel a little disrespected if I was Lukaku. Like, I know he doesn't want to go back, but the fact that Potter doesn't want him, hey man, like it's a little disrespectful. But anyway, moving on here. Let's chat about Liverpool for a second. Samson, I want to bring this to you because you made a comment about what they did today against Real Madrid, and obviously we also them lose to Bournemouth this past weekend, even though they beat United 7-0 last week. And I can't say I'm shocked. I cannot say that I'm overly shocked because I've been saying this all for the last 2 seasons. Van Dijk is the most overrated defender in the Premier League right now. Man, there's nothing there. Honestly, I remember, I know you guys are going to clown me for this, but I actually rate Tyrone Mings over Van Dijk. Yes, that's a big statement. Yes, you can judge me all you want, but I'd rather have Mings in my squad. Even Ben Mee. Give me Ben Mee. Don't give me Van Dijk. Ben, honestly though. But, I mean, to be honest, Ben Mee has been scoring a lot of goals this season. So let's not disrespect the man. Ben Mee has been on it. This season. Brentford don't concede that many goals. So like, they've actually conceded less than Liverpool this season. So I think let's respect the man Ben Mee. Anyway, Samson, why did you think they lost today to Real Madrid? And then also, why did they lose to Bournemouth? Is Klopp just losing his head? And that Man United 7-0 beating that they gave them too much confidence, and yet they're still too poor to compete at a high level. You know, they just caught Man United on a bad day and ran away with it. But what are your thoughts on Liverpool?
So one of the main reasons I gave when we recorded the pod, I think 2 weeks ago, I gave, Potter a lot of grief. And I said, this is relegation form. Are these guys sure about this guy? And also another reason I've been giving Klopp a lot of, criticism over the course of the season is because number one job as a coach, and I think this has been lost in the modern day, where a coach signs on, they get 10 players and 200 mil out the gate, just here, go spend, build your team like it's Football Manager. No, being a coach is literally, hey, these are 22 players. Coach them, put the best 11 on the field and find a way to win. That is the core, that's the core of coaching. Find a way to win with what you got. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to do. Even if you get those 10 brand new players, you're going to have to find a way to win with them on the pitch. And Klopp, it's ridiculous to me. Liverpool fans, I know they've complained, hey, injuries, man. We've lost this guy, and oh my God, Jota, he was so important. Luis Diaz, oh my goodness. You signed Darwin Núñez. You had, you lost money, yes, but you replaced him, right? You have centre-backs. According to Klopp, you have the best centre-backs in the world. Those are not my words, by the way. Those are his words. You have the best centre-backs in the world. That's what he thinks. Okay, so if you have all these quality players, you have the best wing-backs in world football, again, according to him. Why in the hell, today, of all days, you play a 4-2-4 with a 37-year-old in Milner pivoting with Fabinho? Why? How does that make any sense whatsoever? And you have a front four of Jota, Núñez, Gakpo, and Salah. Real Madrid, you know how they're going to play. They play a 4-3-3, and sometimes Valverde drops into the midfield, makes it a 4, so they can pass the ball around and break the presses, because people will press them high. That's how they're going to play. They played that the first time against you. They're going to pack the midfield. Why have you thinned out your midfield? You have taken players out of your midfield. You have that youngster, what's his name? By Jetic. You have him. You have Carvalho. You have Elliott. You have all these young guys who, yes, you're unsure of, but you have them. You can field them. Okay, you can use them. And that is your job as a coach, to use the players you have to gain an advantage on the opposition. Why are you not using what you have? My God. And it's not and it blows my mind at the end of the day, because some of these players, we know their weaknesses. We know Trent Alexander-Arnold cannot defend to save his life. Even today, Vinicius ran past him 6 times. And each time, he does the same thing every exact time. He just puts his hands up and walks. Doesn't chase back at all. Van Dijk, we know he's not a good defender under pressure. We know that if he has to defend by himself, one-on-one, people coming at him, people around it, he's not going to be looking good. He's not Cannavaro. We know that. He's the kind of defender who's great when the team's attacking, when you're pressing up high. You're not doing these things anymore. Why not change your formation a little bit? Why not add a third center back so you can push your wing backs further up, because they're your most creative players? Why is this mind-blowing information? Chelsea do it all the time. Chelsea have 2 fullbacks, 2 wing backs who are great going forward. Not the best going back, but great going forward. They play back threes whenever they can. Why aren't you doing the same? It's not that hard to figure out. And I think a lot of the issues this year have just come down to Klopp making weird decisions. Even Gakpo, signing Gakpo, your midfield was razor thin according to you. You did not get the signings you wanted. Why not spend the money on another midfielder? Why did you feel the need to go buy another attacker? Why? In the fall when you guys were losing, at any point in time when Liverpool were losing to who these guys was, Brighton, for example. Yeah. Did anyone ever look up and think, hey, you know what could help this situation? Another striker. That's what we need. Another winger. No, your problems are defense and midfield. You know this. You know you've known the whole time, and you've not addressed it, and you've not worked with the players you have, and this is what you get. So that's all I can say. These like Liverpool are going through some tough times, but let's not kid ourselves and say, "Oh, injuries have rocked them." Oh, they need more players. No, you just need a coach who makes better decisions. That's what you need. That's number one what you need. If you had that, you'd be in the top 4 comfortably, and maybe you would have made it past through this round of the Champions League. Because Real Madrid have not been good enough to hit you 5 and have a 6-2 aggregate lead. Like, they haven't been that amazing. Like, seriously, look at their league form. They haven't been that great. And they've hit you 6-2. Like, you've been bad. That's mostly on you. So, yeah, I put this on Klopp.
I mean, do we see Liverpool actually touching top 4? Because right now they are 6th, right? They've got 42 points, and Tottenham has 48. And we all know Spurs this season. Honestly, I'm surprised we're still top 4. I think it's just because Newcastle has been farming. I don't know what they've been doing, but we should not be in top 4. We've not been doing anything that indicates top 4 quality, in all honesty. And I can say that as a Spurs supporter. I'm not just hating. Like, I watching Tottenham play these days is painful. Like, I only watch because Harry Kane is literally carrying our team on his back. Like, if Harry Kane for some reason gets injured this season, honestly, I'll just give up. I'll just be like, okay, season's done. I'm good. There's nothing else that's going to come out of this. I'm not about to watch Richarlison get mad for the rest of the season because he's not getting the pass he wants. Anyway, Liverpool are 6 points away from top 4. Are they going to make it? Or do y'all see them finishing where they are right now, just behind Newcastle? I mean, also, they're on the same points as Brighton. Brighton is 42 points right now. They also played a game less. And Brentford are 1 point behind Liverpool. So it's actually it's actually quite tight in that little bracket between Liverpool, Brighton, and Brentford. We can also add Newcastle there because they all have 3 points in between them. Literally. Like, someone loses a game and the other person wins, they're shooting up. So anyway, I just want to throw it to both you and Samson and Kosi. Liverpool, are they stopping where they are right now?
Listen, you've added Brighton, Brentford. I'm going to add Fulham because Liverpool's next game is Man City. And Fulham are 3 points behind. If Fulham win and Liverpool loses, that's level. Okay, so they're in a race with those 3 teams behind them. And maybe even Chelsea, who knows what Chelsea do in the next couple of games. But yeah, these guys, they're not really in the top 4 race. Like, when you really think about it, I want to see what they do after Man City, how they perform against Man City and Arsenal. If they can win those games, then yeah, sure. But I have gotten no evidence so far that this is a consistent team. Like, if you win 7-0 one week and lose 1-0 the next, like what are we talking about here? Like, no, that's not Champions League form. That's mid-table form. Like, no one serious loses to Bournemouth after winning 7-0. Like, what excuse did he have? Early in the season was injuries. There was no excuse for that with the Bournemouth game. There was literally no excuse.
Yeah.
So if you're in that position and you literally have no words to explain what just happened, I cannot trust you and say, hey, top 4. Nah. I have more faith in Tottenham at this point. And
yeah, actually, Magoro, let me ask, because right now Liverpool plays City, Chelsea, Arsenal. Are they surviving that? Like, because I feel like if they lose those 3 games, they can forget about top 7. They can forget about it because Brentford, for example, play Leicester and then Brighton. Brighton they don't play this weekend, but they play Brentford and Bournemouth. So if Brighton win those 2 games and Liverpool loses the next 3, Brighton are 6 points ahead, and they're done, right? Like, I don't see Brighton, and we saw them today. They won their game. They're doing well. So I kind of want to hear what you think, Mangoro. Like, if Liverpool loses these 3 games, are these 3 games right now the paramount part for Liverpool? Like, if they win the 3, they're definitely touching top 5. If they lose the 3, they're not even gonna make it past 8th. Is that Is that where we are at the season for Liverpool?
It's not the end of the road, honestly. There's still like a good chunk of games to be played. Probably what after there's like 8 or 9 games left. So that's 27, 24 points, 30 points actually. So to play for. So even if the teams that they play that are all not around them per se, because Chelsea's below them, Arsenal, Man City are way above them. So they're pretty good there. I would say the other team that we're not paying a lot of attention to, but United is in the top 4 race. They're not secure. Like, we're going to see Casemiro probably in May at this point. So that should tell you something. Like, Man U is not secure in the top 4. Like Man U, Spurs, all these teams are in the race. Like, this could be one of the greatest, because when you look at from 3rd to 10th, with Chelsea having a game in hand, let's say hypothetically they win it, they get to 40. It's a 10-point swing between. It's like to say this is going to be quite a strange season in the fact that the team between 3rd and 10th could be separated by just 10 points. And if you look at the bottom, it's the same thing. I think it's like 7 points from like 12th all the way to the bottom. It's literally 5 points, 22 to 27 points. So this could be the strangest season yet, because now I think the squads were going to come into play. Some of these teams that actually have other competitions to play, like Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, they may be focused on that because they're like, this league thing is a tall order, and the luck of the draw, they stumble themselves upon a final. So it'll be interesting to see, but that's what I'll say. Man U is not secure. Liverpool, I wouldn't say it's the end of the road, even if they lose all 3 games. I highly doubt they'd lose all 3. They'll probably get a draw somewhere, or maybe win one of them. I definitely can raise my right hand and say they won't win all 3 games. I'm safe to say that. So it'll be interesting to see how like the next couple of weeks goes, and the fact that there's an international break coming up after this weekend is going to shape quite a number of things.
By the way, just a quick point of information. So Casemiro will only be back against Chelsea on the 22nd of April. That is, that's he's gonna miss 4 games. So that's basically May. So yeah, he's gonna be out for a while.
Also, can you explain to the masses why he caught a 4-game ban? Because I know a red card. Did he catch a straight red? Yeah, he caught a straight red. That's usually 3 games, right? Why is it a 4-game ban? For the people out there who are curious as to like, yo, man, a red card, first of all, was it a red card? Can we agree on that? And secondly, why is it 4 games?
Isn't it because it's like his second straight one? So first one 3, second one 4, and I think it's just the league's way of like trying to police, super. Let's not call it violent. Let's call it a way to protect the players. Because you don't want people with full body challenges every 2 weeks type of thing. So the deal is, hey, if you keep playing like you own the refs, you're going to miss more games. And by the way, I just want to say, I am tired of the Casemiro best in the world narrative. This guy is not the best in the world, okay? This guy is like, these are almost like Granit Xhaka levels. Like, it feels like anytime there's a little bit of pressure, this guy's just ready to go off and just have a moment, because some of the challenges he makes, it's like he doesn't expect to get a card. And it's like, my guy, you are 29 years old. You've played in Champions League finals. How did you not think that was a yellow card? Like, how? I mean, how in the hell? We have Saliba, who's 21. He avoided a yellow card for 4 months just so he doesn't get a suspension. You are 29. First game. You just the first game you were on a 4th yellow. You got one. Just like that. I mean, no. He's not.
Okay, wait. Point of correction. That man is 31. He's not 29. Casemiro's in his
Even
20s.
worse. Even
He's
worse.
31. I just want to make sure people are not like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Casemiro's 31, guys. I was going to be shook if it was 29. Like, I was like, yo, that man is 1 year older than me? Nah. I was gonna deny it. But yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
No, but you'd also add that he's also like a repeat offender. It's like this was his second red card. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened. I think would have gone into some unprecedented waters if Manchester United actually tried to appeal that, because when you lose the appeal, they add a couple of games. So I don't know if it's one or two or just one. So it would have been interesting to see how that was going to pan out. But this guy, and I read an interesting stat the other day that I think that, I don't know if it's 9 seasons, I could be wrong there, but the listeners will correct me if I'm wrong. He never actually picked up red card for Real Madrid. But in probably 9 months at United, he already has 2 red cards, which is just interesting to know. Like, listener, like I don't know, like some of these things are actually quite unacceptable. Like, how do you have 2 red cards in a season? Don't you like that those 3 games you miss? Don't you like lose something? Don't you feel it internally that, yo, I actually was suspended and I had to watch, and it was the big games that he missed. So yeah, Casemiro, I hope he learns from this and he becomes a better player going forward.
Can I just say, I'm surprised his first name is Carlos. I did not know that. I did not know his name was Carlos Casemiro. I might be the only one. Don't judge me, but I just looked up. His name is Carlos Henrique Casemiro. Did you boys know his name was Carlos? I don't know. Okay, maybe that's like, and that doesn't matter, but I always thought his name was Casemiro. It's Carlos.
I mean, I didn't know Carl. I knew. I mean, most Brazilian players, if they just have one name and they're known by one name, it's probably not their name. Like, that's just how it goes. And I knew his name was Enrique, but I did not know Carlos, to be fair. But he's Brazilian. Like, has a lot of guys named Carlos from Brazil. So
Yeah, but because what you're saying, why do you think the conditions are as to why Carlos is catching 2 red cards? Like, what's happening at Man United that makes it so? Like, is it because of putting too much pressure on him? Is it carrying too much weight? Like, trying to support who's even playing within that midfield or whatever? Like, is it trying to defend Shaw too much? Like Varane, like, is it doing too much and putting himself in positions where he has to overplay himself? And that's why he's out there catching reds. Is it something about Man United, or is it the fact that, hey, the man is tired? He's won his trophy with United. He's good. He had a long career with Madrid. Like, he doesn't need any more trophies. And at this point, my man just wants to relax, take it easy. Maybe him and Anthony had a talk before. Anthony was like, bro, catch a red card, right? And I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to say, hey, I'm winning the game for you. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to look like the hero. Maybe that's what the Brazilian connection, and like we saw him and then he got subbed off like after 8 minutes. So anyway, I just want to know, like, why do you think that Carlos is finding himself in positions where he's catching red cards so often?
I'd say, with the brother Carlos, I think it's just the league, honestly. Like, I think maybe he thought it's one of 2 things. The first piece being the league, the referees in La Liga are quite lenient as opposed to there in the Premier League. But Mr. Taylor, they're very rigid and they have set ways of doing things. They do enjoy a controversial moment once in a while. They do enjoy trending on Twitter. So I think that's like the first piece. The second piece is that, as you mentioned, he's carrying the entire Old Trafford on his shoulders there, because the likes of Anthony, Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka stays because they can't attack. There's many people, they just want to go forward. Fred, you see him in people's kitchens trying to score. So he has to cover a large amount of distance. So, of course, he'll foul, take cards, even if it's straight reds from time to time. And he's just generally been a reckless player. Like, we've seen him in the past when he played in the Champions League, some of the tackles that he was making. And now when there's actually some quite nimble players in the Premier League, just playing it around you, some players from Southampton, you can see that something's just not right there. So,
Yeah.
and those players are actually exposing him that, yo, man, like here, this is the Premier League. This is not La Liga where you can just tackle, or in the Champions League where they do 25 reviews on a particular card or so, red card incident or something.
By the way, I just want to point out, I know we're going to discuss this in a later date, but given the recent revelations with Barcelona and referees, I just want to put it out there that maybe the man was benefiting from some bias that Real Madrid enjoyed in La Liga from referees. I know there's been some debate about it among, La Liga fans over the years that, big teams get calls, especially against smaller teams. I think, that's something to consider because, seriously, if you look at some of the challenges, that guy is not expecting a card. He's just as surprised as all of us, that he gets the card. I mean, we're not surprised, but he's as surprised as we are when to see him make the challenge. He's shook when he sees a card. He's like, "What? Me? What did I?" And it's like, "Dog, you took that man out." And it's but yeah, I think he's just used to it.
I was also thinking maybe that's also a factor of the fact that I just said the fact of. Please forgive me, listener. I know that didn't make any sense. I was also going to say that in Spain, my man does not need to make a challenge like that against Mallorca, right? But he's playing against Southampton. The man, Ward Prowse, is pressing him. I just feel maybe he's just I don't think he's used to the level of quality in the Premier League where Southampton at the bottom of the bottom. But these men will still hold you down. They'll still shake you down. So maybe that's kind of the difference of in Spain, he's just playing the fodder there, the bottom of the league. He doesn't have to make such a challenge. It's fine, But here in the Prem, don't look at nobody like they're nothing. People are strong out there. So maybe I wonder if that's the difference. But I just want to ask you, maybe in case you can answer this, but when Man United did end up, it was 0-0 with Southampton. Even though they caught a red card, Casemiro caught a red card, the game finished a draw. And usually when a team goes down to 10 men, you expect them to it's gonna be a landslide. But they managed to hold it down together. So my question kind of is the 0-0 a stronger reflection on the fact that Man United kept it together and defended well, or is a 0-0 more of a reflection of the fact that Southampton are just poor and cannot finish, and they should have actually won the game, but right now they're just having that kind of season where they can't even beat 10 men, and we all know Man United, even when they have 11, they 8-7 from Liverpool the week before, and Southampton can't even get one when they've got 10 men on the pitch. So who is this looking good for and who is this looking bad for, if anything? Samson can also answer this, but I'm just curious as to what you think about that scenario or this 0-0 thing.
The table. This thing called the Premier League table. It never lies. It never lies. Southampton are where they are because they deserve to be 20th. When you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you deserve to be 20th. And they didn't put the ball in the back of the net against 10 men, and that's why they're 20th. That doesn't look good on them. I understand they're playing Manchester United at Old Trafford. It was quite maybe a big occasion for them, and they were affected by it. But I think it's also down to, when you look at on from the Manchester United perspective, it's some of the players that they have not rising to the occasion in those difficult moments. Anthony is probably the biggest fraud that exists in the Premier League. Up there with the biggest frauds. There's a couple more. They're going to avail themselves very soon, but Anthony is up there. Mr. Wout Weghorst, our great centre back, stopping traffic every single time. He's just not doing anything. Bruno, I don't know why people praise him so much. Those are the times when you're the captain, you're the leader of the team. You're supposed to raise your hand in those difficult moments and either organize and play on the counter. You have the pace with Rashford and maybe Jadon Sancho. That will do something for you. But honestly, it just To answer your question, I'd say it looks bad on both of them. Like, it looks bad on Manchester United because they're Manchester United. Even if Southampton go down to 10 men, they still win the game. You remember during Fergie time, they'd still win games even though they were down to 10. It also looks bad on Southampton. You can't score against a team that conceded 7 just the previous week. That should tell you something.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like, Fergie time was a very real thing. And even down to 10, like, you could see teams were scared to play Manchester United. Especially, this was at home. This was at Old Trafford. Like, teams were terrified at any point in the game to play Manchester United. But Southampton looked pretty comfortable. I mean, like, I wouldn't say they dominated, but, like, they had some chances before the red card. They had a few more after the red card. They just suck. You know, like, I can't put it any other way. Like, they're just terrible, man. Like, some of those chances, nah, like, those guys are just not good enough. And maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe it's the quality of players. Maybe it's a mix of both. You know, who knows? But they're just not good enough. As for Manchester United, no fear factor. You know, that Fergie era fear factor, like, yo, we're down to 10 men, but hey, we're still going to do it. It did not feel like they were still going to do it. Everything they did that game felt like it was forced, felt like they were tired, felt like, like when you hope, like, playing with hope, like, we hope this works. Not like you know what you're doing, but I hope. Even like Anthony, by the way, since you brought up, that guy shoots with hope every single time. I know he scored midweek last week, but if you watch him, like, it's almost instinctive. Like, he gets the ball, puts it on his left, and he just swings. He doesn't even think about it too much. He just, because it's automatic to him. It's muscle memory. He doesn't look at it. He doesn't think about the situation. He doesn't think about, oh, maybe I should cross, maybe I should pass. He just does. So if you have players like that, you're not gonna do much in a game, especially in a game where you're under pressure and you're down to 10 men. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We'll have to see. I thought we were gonna see something, like, from the way the game was going. I thought for a 0-0 game, it was slightly entertaining. Like, I was not bored when I was watching that game. Like, it wasn't terrible to watch. It was okay. You know, it was watchable. So maybe that's the only win that came out of that. But anyway, I think that about covers all the good things that happened this week. And I mean, I don't know if we have to really talk about the other games. Man City, they did their 1-0 thing. Erling Haaland's barely had a sniff the whole game, but he, of course, scores the penalty. And, you know, he walks around like he just played the game of his life. And I was like, hey, my guy, chill. You just scored a penalty. Like, calmer. You know, it's okay. Why are you walking around shouting like, hey, you just did something special? Like, it's all right, my guy. Arsenal won, like, you know, pretty convincingly against Fulham. You know, I think it was 3-0. So, yeah, it was nothing more to say about that, really. So, we just have to say, like, hey, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe. We're here with the Forest Brothers. We talk about this. I mean, we're now doing the YouTube thing, but if you go on Spotify, go on Apple, you will catch all our episodes, all the analysis. This is not the first. We've been in the game. It's just that, like, you know, you gotta level up. You know, it's 2023. It's the year of leveling up. So you can just go to Spotify, tap the Forest Brothers Podcast, you'll find us. Go on our Instagram, the Forest Brothers Podcast, you'll find us. You'll find the posts, you know. Where else can you go? Yeah, but those are them. Any platform,
iOS.
Really. iOS, yeah. The Apple Podcast for you Apple users out there. You'll find us on Apple Podcast under the Forest Brothers Podcast. You know the little image you're seeing there, the little corner there. Yes, that's what you see, and you know it's us. It's us. Yeah. But yeah, and then I guess subscribe, tell a friend, share again. Tell another friend to tell a friend to share, you know, because, you know, we need to uplift each other. But boys, it's been good. I think that was a really good succinct, you know. So I'll let you guys say a goodbye to the fans out there. And now there's faces to the voices. I'm sure a lot of people out there are happy to see us actually, like, they're like, oh, these guys actually exist. It's not some AI, you know. It's actually real.
Actually, yeah.
So yeah, that's what it looks like. I wonder what people think that I actually look like when they listen to my voice. And I probably don't look like that. In their heads, I probably look like something else. And in the comments, let me know what you think I look like compared to what I sound like. I hope it's not a white man, but I can only hope. Anyway, boys, how's about you say goodbye to the listeners out there? I'll start with you, Sanya, and then we'll go to the boy Mangoro.
Dear listener, once again, you have been with the Forest Brothers podcast, and very happy, as always, to have y'all with us. Very happy to be here with my two brothers, Nkosi, Mutsa. Great being here with you, gents, another week. I will close just by saying, if any of y'all thought I was a white man, shame on you. Shame on all of you. I mean, damn, that would be such an insult. I'd be so embarrassed, okay? I'm a proud black man, and I hope everyone knows that. Goodbye, dear listener, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Listener, now that we're on YouTube, it's all about a couple of things to comment, like, share, and subscribe to the Forest Brothers channel there on YouTube. And all to all our Spotify listeners and our Apple Podcast listeners, shout out to you all as well. But yeah, thank you, listener, for coming here to share with us and listen to us. This is the place where we drop the uncensored truth, the reality, as I like to call it. And hopefully today you were enlightened, entertained, and educated, man, because that's all the Forest Brothers is here for.
Yeah, and to our white man listeners out there, nothing against you, but
Of course. Of course. Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing wrong.
It's not personal, It's just
it's not personal, but come on.
Yeah, I mean,
come on. Anyway, with that, listener, we'll catch you on the next one. Look out for our videos, our audios, all the likes, and with that, we say peace out.